to teach you some techniques for making your final touches on a painting, how to add atmosphere and effects, and also I'm going to kind of change up the sky completely and add a moon. And all of that will result in the final finished rendered painting. So let's get started. So on a new layer, I'm going to grab a brush. There should be a brush in your folder called Clouds. And I'm going to gently, just very lightly, add some cloud texture over top of everything. So you'll note that this layer isn't down below everything. It's not on the sky layer. It's actually above everything. And that's very intentional. I want to give the feeling of mist across this painting. You can do several layers of this. You can layer out your clouds or mist. So if you wanted to have like a layer of clouds, in front of, say, the foreground element, you could just create a layer above that foreground element and add clouds in. So this is all just using a very big, very basic cloud brush. You could also do this with one of the default Photoshop brushes. Like there's a big soft round brush. That's totally fine. It's all a matter of just making sure that your brush strokes are very light on your tablet. So remember, your pen can be pressure sensitive, so you want to give a bit of a light touch with that. Okay, so there's also a very cool brush in the brush pack called Vultures, and all I'm going to do is put 2 or 3 taps of this brush down, and that'll be enough to give the hint or the suggestion of those birds flying up there in the sky. Might work, it might be a bit cheesy, but I'll see how it goes. I think that looks okay. But now I want to actually jump in and change up the color of my sky and really push this idea or this notion that this is kind of otherworldly, maybe a bit sci-fi, and I'm going to add a bit more drama to it. So, you could end it here if you wanted, but what I'm going to do is on a new layer above the sky layer, I'm going to go over to the gradient tool. So if you hit G on your keyboard and then hold down on the icon, you can see that it gives you the option for the bucket or gradient tool. So select gradient, then this dialog box comes up, and here you can change the color of your gradient by clicking into the boxes below the slider. You can move them to adjust them. And then I'm going to pull and drag across. Now I should be on that other layer, so if I pull and drag across, you'll see a very nice gradient appear. It instantly gives it a completely different feel, much more dramatic. I might even add some textures into the sky itself for clouds. Sample some sky color and just break up that very stampy looking cloud brush. So the cloud brushes that I just laid down now really pop out. They really stand out in contrast. So I just want to knock that back a little bit. This is great because it kind of gives you the impression of maybe even like some stormy weather or electrical storm, something very menacing or crazy kind of weather pattern building up at the back. If you wanted to, you could change the blending modes of your clouds. So, if it's standing out too much, I'm going to try and put it to maybe lighten. I think that works. That's looking a lot better. It's not so bright. That's perfect. Now I'm going to make a new layer above all of those textures. Go to my marquee selection tool, click and drag out a circular shape and fill it. And that's going to be my moon. And then I'm just going to paint over that moon with the selection still active. I've just hidden it with Command H. I'm just choosing textures and colors from around the nearby sky and just painting over it. Now lastly, I might even darken it all together, give it a pattern that might be quite visible, say, from the planet, that you actually see the pattern on the moon. So yeah, I think that looks awesome. And if you wanted to, that's certainly something that you could do at the very end of your process, just to really give it that final look. Add a moon or a couple of moons into the sky, or maybe you wanted to go ahead and add a spaceship in the sky as well. You can also play around with the blending modes of that moon, like on that layer, see what you think works. For me, I think it's best if I just leave it at normal. I've, worked on the colours the way I wanted to see them, so I think I'll leave it at that. All in all, that's it. That is finished and rendered and finalised, and I'm very, very happy with that. I hope you've enjoyed watching this process. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to ask me or send me your work in progress, or if you get stuck with anything, send me what you're working on and let's have a chat and see if we can figure things out. Otherwise, I hope you can finish this to completion and send me your final concept painting for the desert scene. I'd love to see it.